First, it was 10 sites. You thought they'd stop. Then 3 more sites. First, there was one masked Dharmasthala witness, and then 2 more witnesses. First, just a complaint, and along with it, a skull. But from the very beginning in this case, the questions haven't stopped. The masked Dharmasthala witness, who claimed he had himself buried bodies of young women and girls, he claimed he remembered every burial, every vehicle number, every site. And yet, when the SIT in Karnataka asked him where the skull he held in his hand came from, when the day he filed the first complaint, no answer. No location of that skull has been revealed. And the SIT, still silent on where that skull came from, where it was found, or where the rest of the body parts are of that skull in the first place. This is the first contradiction. The skull that the witness brought with him on day 1 was examined at 2 hospitals, KMC and Victoria Hospital, according to SIT sources. Forensics have confirmed that that skull, originally brought to the police, belonged to a man. It was not a woman. A man who died 30 years ago. How does that fit the story? It does not, because this witness, the masked man, claimed girls and women were killed 15 years ago. Next, spot 6, a few bone fragments. Spots 8, 9 and 13, which this masked man was confident of, but nothing was found at these sites. And then spot 11, there is a sudden change of mind. This masked witness suddenly asks for a washroom break in the bushes in the middle of the search. And moments later, a skeleton lying above the ground in plain sight. Imagine, if it was buried by the same witness, how could it be above the surface? And that too 15 years later. Even SIT officers clashed on that discovery as per our sources, on whether they should take it into account or not. One officer called it evidence, another said it's a separate local crime, and that spot became spot 11A. When YouTubers started commenting, suggesting gadgets were needed to find skeletons in Dharmasthala, the very next day, this masked man made the same demand to the SIT. Was that a coincidence? Or was there a bigger coordination at play? Then came Saturday. The masked man led the SIT in Karnataka to the sacred Dharmasthala temple property. And within 15 seconds of getting into this site with the SIT, he points to a spot near the Gomateshwara statue. Those who've been to Dharmasthala know this location. And he claimed at one spot, 15 feet below, he claimed there lay a body of a girl from Kerala. Once again, excavation began a little after 4 p.m. And around the same time, another YouTuber, another so-called activist, Girish Mattanavar, goes live, alleging a cover-up. Now, how did YouTubers/activists know? Did YouTubers and activists have a live feed to the excavation? It doesn't add up. Once again, however, in that particular spot, nothing was found. Now, look at what has happened so far. Gadgets, drones, ground scans deployed, and still no skeletons. At spot 13, they hit water at 13 feet. Where he claimed there was a body, they found water. The masked man then said, dig 10 feet below the water. And the SIT went up to 20 feet and still nothing. No skeletons found. And by now, the number of sites have been growing day after day. The number of witnesses have grown in the Dharmasthala so-called mass burial case. And the number of questions are overflowing. Is this really a pursuit of the truth? Or is it a wild goose chase? Is it a witch hunt or a calculated lie to defame the holy land of Dharmasthala, one of the most sacred sites for Hindus in southern India? Only one thing is clear. Every new site is raising more doubts than answers. And that is why finally we are hearing even the SIT may in its interim report question the claims made by the so-called masked witness and maybe even think of closing the investigation. But just imagine, after all these weeks, ladies and gentlemen, in the last few weeks what has happened? Global media, even Pakistani panelists, some of whom were on Republic, have been trying to raise the Dharmasthala case, screaming of a mass burial at a temple site in India. Is that narration a coincidence? Just think about it.